Hello and welcome to Pop Along RC, the RC car channel dedicated to RC car racing, and this weekend was the first outing for this. Now this is my brand new Willspeed buggy and it is a beautiful piece of kit. So I had my first outing for this car at the Willspeed GP down at 1066. The event was amazing. The standard of driving there was absolutely amazing. Lee Martin, who has featured in many a race on the channel, was the top dog on the day, followed in second place by the top Willspeed driver. So these cars are very, very competitive. So if we start from the beginning, I will talk you through what went well and what we could have done a little bit better. So let's just take off the shell for one moment and we can have a look inside this car. So here is my Willspeed chassis and electrics that we've got on here. We have gone with Orca motor and Orca ESC. So this is an 8.5 turn motor. My previous buggy I was running a 6.5 turn and I personally felt it was probably a little bit too punchy for me, so therefore I've gone to an 8.5 turn for this car. ESC wise, this is the Mark II version of the Orca ESC. Servo wise, I went with Power HD D12. Comes in a lovely little tin, and the product itself looks amazing. So wiring wise, as you can see from this car has been wired beautifully, and if you're a regular to the channel you will know that means I didn't do it. My soldering is not the best, so because this is an amazing looking car, I didn't want to let it down by putting in the electrics badly. So the electrics have been put in. They are super tight, super slick. Car looks absolutely amazing. So once the electrics were in, they got tested, not a problem at all. So I brought the car home, I fitted the servo, turning it left and right on the transmitter, not a problem at all. So we headed off to the Willspeed GP and again, fired it up, set the trim on the front wheels, put the car on the track, and as soon as I pulled full throttle, the car was doing some very strange things, and I was a bit stumped really. Fortunately at this event we had the Willspeed team there who were offering us support all the way through the day, and they helped with sort of setting up the car. There was also Nathan Rules as well. He was there helping me sort of tweak the car to suit my driving style. But we were all scratching our heads a little bit at the beginning when I was having this issue with the steering. So the first thing that we tried is we tried adding a capacitor, and that didn't fix the problem. The next thing, because I always take a spare radio with me, I tried it with a different radio receiver. That wasn't the issue. Tried different batteries. That wasn't the issue. So we actually came to the conclusion that the issue lied with the servo itself. Now we still haven't got to the bottom of this. I'm going to be taking it back to where I got it from, and hopefully they'll be able to sort the problem out and I can get a servo back in this car. So not all was lost though. Obviously the Willspeed guys were there and they have lent me a servo just to get me through the event, and they've actually lent me an Power HD, so the same brand but the S15 as opposed to the D12, which is this one here. Anyway, servo in the car, literally first time I put it on the track it felt amazing. The way the car drove, how responsive it was. I wasn't having the issues with understeer which I've had with pretty much every other buggy that I've driven on its first outing. Straight away the car on the track felt really planted, turned in really nicely, and I was really pleased with how the car behaved. So obviously the issue that I had with the servo meant I missed out on my practice laps. I was also planning to use those practice laps to tweak out the expo and set up the radio gear and get everything set up, because obviously I hadn't put this car on a track. You can eyeball a car, but until you actually put that car on the track, it's very difficult to know how the car is going to perform. So those practice rounds at the beginning were vital in me getting this car set up, and due to the issue with the servo meant I missed out, and I felt a little bit like I was playing catch up. So by the time we got into qualifying, most people were getting dialed in and I was still trying to get the car set up. That being said, the consistency of the car and the way it drove, really happy with it. I was really pleased with how the car handled, how the car drove. The only issue that I had was I was coming together on occasions with back markers, which did have an impact on the consistency of my lap times. I am quite open and honest about the fact I'm not the fastest driver in the world, but I do like to think that I'm a pretty consistent driver. Obviously, initially, trying to get used to the track, there were a few tricky features on the track. What I've noticed with the final is lots of people were overshooting the first turn. So what I thought I'd do is I would obviously get off the mark as quick as I could, pull over to the inside, and then let off early so I could just coast a nice tight line, and I was involved in a collision, which again put me on my roof on a first lap. It's not unusual for me. That being said, I did work my way through the traffic in those first couple of laps, and I managed to get myself up to 5th place. I found some nice clean track. I was putting in some really clean laps, and I was really pleased with how the car was behaving, how it was running. What I found actually as the day went on and I was becoming more confident with the car, I think I probably could have turned up the boost on the ESC to give me a little bit more punch up the straight, because I felt that my driving had got to the point where I could actually push this car a little bit more. In the infield though, car was absolutely fine. I was aiming for sort of the middle of the road, keeping it nice and clean, keeping it consistent. That being said, when traffic got up behind me, I did try to take the turns a little bit tighter, tried to hold the line, and this is where I started to sort of clip the inside of the curbs, and as a result I made a few mistakes. But do you know what? There were a few times throughout the weekend where I felt like I was in a bit of a race with a couple of drivers. It wasn't like when I'm running the GT12s or the MTCs where I feel that I'm in a proper race and I can sustain that sort of pressure for lap after lap after lap. I find with the buggies there's more variables, and with my driving standards and my ability, I'm not good enough and consistent enough as yet to be able to hold sort of lap after lap and keep that pressure on. But you know what? It will come. Setup wise, I'm really happy with how it was handling. So I did notice as we got through to the finals that my tyres were going off a little bit and I was losing a little bit of grip, but overall the car performed really well. But for a first outing, really pleased with the car. I do need to take this servo back, get that sorted. The electrics are amazing. Potentially I'm going to get this hooked up to the Bluetooth setting system that Mark has got, and we can sort of bump up my boosts and turbo and all that sort of stuff to try and give me a little bit more punch on the track. But all in all, what a great car, what a great event, what a great bunch of people. If you like what you see and you're interested in seeing how I progress with this car, do like, subscribe, hit the old ding dong bell, and hopefully we will see you trackside soon.